on Sun Valley. Daily local news from beautiful Sun Valley, Idaho.
Hi, I'm Karen Bosick with Eye on Sun Valley. I'm here at St. Luke's Wood River in the heart of what at one time was the epicenter of the coronavirus in the United States. Of course, we came through it relatively unscathed. People have been trying to find ways ever since to thank the healthcare workers for the role they had in keeping us safe and healthy. Last week we had a flyover. This week we have a bunch of horses hoofing it. That's right, Swiftsure Ranch is out here and ready to roll.
Hi, I'm Kristin Wood, and I've just been put in as a new program manager, and we just came down here to the St. Luke's Hospital up here in Ketchum, and we wanted to show our appreciation and tell these guys, all the lovely staff here and the nurses, doctors, and everybody else that's been putting a lot of time and hours in, how much we appreciate everything that they do for us, and just getting ready for the new phases that we are going to hopefully start here shortly in June. So we're going to start June 1st. So we're going to have phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So we stay in the guidelines so we can keep everything in control. And we are going to have individual lessons with independent riders at first. And hopefully they can start enjoying the horses and riding and get back into it.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Bunce. I've been on the board of Swiftsure for, I think, 13 years now. The service that we provide for all the schools in our county and various individuals is really an incredible thing that we do. And we've had to be shut down during the coronavirus, but we are reopening this summer, and we anticipated an increased need for what we do because of the stress that everybody's been under with social isolation. So we're excited to get back out there and have our riders showing up at the ranch again.
So I'm Paul Bennett, and I'm the director of Swiftsure Ranch. And this year is a unique year for us with the coronavirus. We're having to re-examine our major fundraisers. Our fundraiser on July the 9th, Cowboy Ball, is now going to be a virtual event happening August the 27th. This accounts for 33% of our annual budget. So as you can understand, it's important that we get support and we make this happen. We're looking forward to giving out more details as we get everything together. So save the date for August 27th.
Hi, I'm Linda Peterson, and this is my pet therapy dog, Bella. This is Lisa Holly and her pet therapy dog, Cricket. Anyway, we come to the hospital, do our visits with the patients. We go to the schools. I go to the middle school with Bella, and we do the library at Hemingway and read books to the kids. It's an awesome program. Anyway, we've been missing the hospital, so when I saw Karen Bosick's Eye on Sun Valley notification that they were going to have the horses do a parade from Swiftsure, I thought today, well, we can do this. So I emailed a whole bunch of the pet therapy group, and Lisa and I are the only ones that showed up.
Well, this is Cricket, and Cricket takes me to the library once a week, and the kids read to her, and she's been doing this for 12 years now. And she initially worked at the hospital, but she decided she much preferred children on a one-to-one basis. So we came out today to walk with the four-legged horses. Considering the dogs were four-legged, we would just join them. So that's what we did. And we were anxious to go back to the library. And Cricket's very anxious. We go by the library periodically on our rounds, and she goes up to the window and she scratches, thinking she's going to go in, have the kids read to her, but not for a while yet. So she's a little bored right now. We have to go on hikes to amuse her, but she's doing great.
We're mods. We have coffee, we have pastries, we have clothing, We sell it all. We have a range of vintage clothing, high-end women's and everyday wear, ranging from Pendleton to fancy going-out dresses. Some clothing even dating back to the 20s.
Hi, I'm Jacob. My wife Tara and I are the owners of Mods. We're both a coffee shop and a clothing store. We use Harrison Insurance for everything. Business, auto, renters, even our little dog is insured.
The nuances of our unique business are covered with Harrison, and I don't think that I could have obtained that going to a big insurance company directly.
We feel that if something were to happen tomorrow, we'd be okay because we have Harrison Insurance to help us.
Harrison Insurance for all of your insurance needs. Barry Peterson Jewelers, a luxury jewelry store in Ketchum, Idaho, specializing in custom design and repair.
Jewelry making I look at as more of architecture. A piece of jewelry is more of a link between a man and or woman and or mankind and the gemstone world. And so there is actually a lot of engineering that goes involved, that I think is involved with making a piece of jewelry that someone's going to wear every single day of their life. That part of the 3D thinking is a huge factor.
Create your custom piece with Barry Peterson today.
Better food, better price, better service. Atkinson's Market, supporting local farmers since 1956.
It's springtime in the Rockies, Sun Valley in particular, and that means wildflower season. Hi, I'm Karen Bosick with Eye on Sun Valley. I'm here today with Kristin Fletcher, who is the president of the Wood River chapter of the Idaho Native Plant Society. Kristin, what got you into wildflowers and what makes it so cool to see them in our own backyard?
Well, thanks for inviting me to be on your program, Karen. My dad loved the out of doors, and so from the time I was a little kid on up, we just spent time in the wilderness area, including the Sawtooths. But my real love of wildflowers came when I moved over here in the 1980s. And started hiking the trails myself, and just it was so incredibly beautiful. And so I was just inspired to start learning about the plants and learning how they were used, how wildlife used them, how birds used them, why some grew in some places, why they didn't grow in others, that sort of thing.
Of course, this plant behind me, the arrowleaf balsam root, was well used by the Indians who used to pulverize the roots and turn it into flour. They also used to use the arrow-shaped leaves to stuff moccasins to give them some padding, all kinds of uses. What can you tell me about it?
You know, Karen, it's one of my favorite plants too. One of the things I love about it is early in the spring it's blooming down by Twin Falls, and then as the spring progresses it works its way up the valley until in the summertime, like August, it's blooming at the highest elevations of Galena Summit. So it's a plant that's widely distributed, and it's just so beautiful with those big bouquets of yellow flowers. One of the other things I like about it is you mentioned the native folks use the seeds for food. Well, birds do too, and it's a popular forage for wildlife. And another thing that I like, and this is not about the flower itself, but it's about this kind of flower, is that these petals, like if I held this up to you and asked you, how many flowers do you see? You'd probably say one. But actually, each one of these petals is its own flower. And each one of the parts in the middle is one flower. So this is a composite flower, which means that it's composed of two different kinds of flowers, these petal flowers and then these disc flowers in the middle. Karen, another one of my favorite plants is the penstemon. It's a large family with dozens of different species in it. One of my favorites actually is this little one right here. It's called the low penstemon. Its Latin name is Penstemon humilis, like a humble penstemon. And one way you can recognize it is it makes a little cluster with short 8 to 10 inch tall stems and flowers on them. And they bloom early in the spring like this.
Now, Kristin, this flower here is all over the place this spring. It's not necessarily the greatest flower in my book because it's the death camas. Now, this is one of 2 camas, right?
You're right. This is the death camas, as you mentioned. The other camas is the camas that you find by the camas prairie near Fairfield. Those are the ones that the native folks would harvest the roots and roast them underground. They kind of caramelize. They're actually really delicious. Those are sort of friendly camas. This one is called death camas, and it is a very unfriendly camas. The camas by camas prairie grows in really moist areas. This obviously grows by sagebrush in hot, dry areas. So that's one way to differentiate. The camas and the camas prairie has a blue flower. This has a white flower, but it's called death camas for a reason. It's part of the lily family. It's got these long, narrow, kind of grass-like leaves, and then the flower stalk comes out from the top. This is another one of my favorite plants. I guess my list would be 100 plants long, but this is the long leaf phlox. We have 2 main kinds of phlox here. One is a cushion phlox that has little short, almost conifer-like, evergreen-like leaves, real prickly. But this is the long leaf phlox, and its leaves are longer, long and narrow. And it's related to the garden phlox. And one of the things I love about it is a year like this where it's blooming really abundantly, it just scents the air with the most wonderful fragrance. It's sweet, it's light, and this is a particularly good year for it. This sweet little flower is the Nevada pea. It's in the sweet vetch family, and it's closely related to our garden pea, or a sweet pea you might be growing up a trellis. And like those peas, it's got these little tendrils, and it uses those tendrils to climb its way up, and you'll oftentimes see it climbing up through sagebrush or other shrubs in the sagebrush steppe. The flowers look just like your pea flower, and it has a very light, sweet scent. This is called the false or mountain dandelion. And I prefer to call it the real dandelion because what we call a dandelion is just a weed. And this one is an actual native Idaho plant. It grows abundantly in little groups like this, and it's just a delightful springtime bloom. It's a fun one to know. Standing right here, the first thing that I notice is the scent of the antelope bitterbrush that I'm standing in. It's closely related, it's part of the rose family. And so because it's part of the rose family, it has that really delicious scent. And one of the kind of fun things about it in the springtime is it usually starts blooming really low. I call it kind of a flower skirt. And then the blooms work their way up until they envelop the entire plant. And as you're walking around trails in the Wood River Valley, you'll oftentimes get this delicious scent, and it will, this time of year, it'll be the antelope bitterbrush. Another really interesting thing about it is it's very high in protein, and so it's an important plant for deer and elk and pronghorn to eat.
I hope you enjoyed our wildflowers segment. To my way of thinking, getting to know those in our backyard just gives us one more reason to enjoy the beautiful place we live in. Stay tuned, because we'll have more coming up. In the meantime, I'm Karen Bosick with Eye on Sun Valley. Until next time, I'm keeping my eye on Sun Valley for you.
Hi, I'm Gary, manager of the Attic Thrift Store in Haley, and today I'm not here to sell you anything or tell you about any great deals at the Attic. We all know the Attic always has great deals. That goes without saying. Instead, the Attic and its staff would like to give a sincere thank you to all its loyal customers and generous donors who help to make a huge impact in our community. How? For those who don't know, the Attic Thrift Store is a nonprofit that exists to help support the advocates whose mission is to teach people of all ages to build and maintain healthy relationships through education, shelter, and support services. With your help, we are making a difference in ending domestic violence and sexual assault. Every day, lives are changed at The Advocates. Please visit our website at www.theadvocatesorg.org. So from all of us, thank you for shopping and donating to The Addict. You're truly...
Better food, better price, better service. Atkinson's Market, supporting local farmers since 1956.
Are you like me and can't stand paying your insurance bill? Just when you pay all your bills for the month, then along comes that dreaded insurance bill, putting the hurt on your checking account. Hello, I'm Mark Balkos, president of Wood River Insurance. That's why Wood River Insurance is an independent insurance agency. This means we have a multiple of insurance companies we offer to our clients. This allows us to hold the insurance companies accountable for coverage, service, and most important of all, pricing. When I started in this business 33 years ago, I only represented one company to my customers. And after a while, I felt as though my hands were tied when trying to be as competitive as I could. As an independent insurance agency, we represent you to the insurance company, not the insurance company to you. This allows Wood River Insurance to be as competitive as possible. So call us today at 208-788-1100 and let Wood River Insurance represent you.
Autoimmune disease is a huge one that we treat that affects a lot of people. When you look at the properties of hyperbarics, getting the inflammation down, getting those organs to function properly, and it's proven that it suppresses the autoimmune system. So, yeah, we've had really good success with autoimmune disease.
You can watch a movie in that thing. I'm Karen Bosick with Ion Sun Valley, and no, I'm not laying down on the job. I'm here at Hemingway Steam School in beautiful Sun Valley, Idaho, where Higher Ground Sun Valley is hosting Paralympic Day. And what that is to teach kids all about abilities, disabilities, all that, to show what you can do when maybe you don't have some abilities that other people do, you just learn to do them in a different way. So they've arranged a bunch of different games to teach kids how you can do things in different ways. Kara Barrett has been with Higher Ground even back when it was Sun Valley Adaptive Sports. She's the director of recreational programs, and she put together Paralympic Day. Kara, tell me about this day. What's it all about?
Oh, thank you very much for having me. So we're doing the Paralympic School Day, which is a program that we are taking to different schools within the Valley, just for specifically the 5th graders. And we're just teaching them about the Paralympic movement. So just, seeing what it's like to be in one of these awesome sport wheelchairs. We're going to play seated volleyball, which you'll see behind us here. We're going to do visually impaired art, or they could also paint as if they had no arms. They can paint with their toes and just experience. Or their mouth. We're steering away from the mouth with the paintbrushes because we're rotating groups. So today they can choose to use their non-dominant hand, be visually impaired, putting a little eye patch on, our eye cover, and then or painting with their toes and see what that feels like, and just a chance for them to ask questions and to know what it's like if they had, if they had a disability. We also were lucky to have local Paralympian Muffy Davis come out today and talk about her experience growing up here in the Valley and getting injured and becoming a Paralympic athlete.
Well, Warm Springs had a lot of that on it. It wasn't really good to go fast on. So we did that cat track that goes from Warm Springs over to Greyhawk. And all you guys know that cat track? It's pretty narrow turn there, huh? And I was back then on 215 centimeter skis, really long. I don't even know if they make skis that long anymore. But I was unable to hold that apex, that turn, and I lost control and I went flying off the cat track into the trees. And fortunately, there was one of those little ski pole fences, you know, you see those fences to help guide you, and that stopped me from going into the trees chest first. But unfortunately, I flew, and it didn't stop me totally, and I flew and I hit the first tree with my back, and I bounced off of that tree, and I flew another 5 feet, and I hit the next tree with my head hard enough to shatter my helmet. Pretty hard, huh?
What do you hope they will take away from this?
You know, they asked some amazing questions. So I hope that they learn something today, which I'm pretty sure they will. And I just hope that they look at, maybe someone with a disability, maybe a different way that they used to. Maybe they were a little nervous before and didn't understand it. And I feel like after they experience today, they'll have a better understanding what a person might go through, or just walking around the community and feeling what it's like to be in a wheelchair and maybe finding, wow, there doesn't seem to be a ramp nearby. How would I get into the building? Or just going around their own school is going to be really interesting for them to see today. If they're visually impaired, they're going to do a scavenger hunt as well, and they have to find the Braille in the building, which is challenging in some places to find. So I think it will be eye-opening for them to see, wow, I never really thought about that, and what it might be like.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see them in action.
I can't either. It's going to be a really fun day. They're super enthusiastic, and the questions they were asking Muffy after her talk I was just super impressed with the things that they came up with.
Okay. Well, thank you, Kayla.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed our peek at Higher Ground's Paralympic Day. I'm Karen Bosick with Iron Sun Valley. Until next time, I'm keeping my eye on Sun Valley for you.
Hi, I'm Gary, manager of the Attic Thrift Store in Haley, and today I'm not here to sell you anything or tell you about any great deals at the Attic. We all know the Attic always has great deals. That goes without saying. Instead, the Attic and its staff would like to give a sincere thank you to all its loyal customers and generous donors who help to make a huge impact in our community. How? For those who don't know, the Attic Thrift Store is a nonprofit that exists to help support the advocates whose mission is to teach people of all ages to build and maintain healthy relationships through education, shelter, and support services. With your help, we are making a difference in ending domestic violence and sexual assault. Every day, lives are changed at The Advocates. Please visit our website at www.theadvocatesorg.org. So from all of us, thank you for shopping and donating to The Attic. You're truly...
My name's Keith Perry, and my wife Paul and I are the owners of Perry's Restaurant, operating here since 1985, and we've grown to become a local institution here.
We make almost everything from scratch, including all our muffins, our cookies, our salad dressings. Everything is made to order.
Perry's is open daily at 7 a.m., serving hearty breakfasts, and lunchtime made-to-order sandwiches, soups, and salads, and premium beer and wine.
I always sense a level of honesty, in the music that we create.
It's all about listening to each other and taking styles and blending them.
We just let our music happen, and sometimes it takes us to places where we never thought we could go, and we're looking at each other when we're done going, how do we do that? And that's really the only way that you can create that kind of magic, is to just leave space for it to happen.
I remember going to the doctor when I was a kid. He knew me, I knew him. It was really simple. And then medicine changed with more expensive labs, medications, bigger clinics, and not enough time to explain it all.
Direct primary care came along, outside the insurance system and affordable. I'm Dr. Tom Archie. At InnerHealth MD, we spend the time we need building collaborative relationships. We bypass the insurance, lab, and pharmaceutical industries and pass on the savings to our patients. At our office, common labs can cost $5 to $10, and in our pharmacy, generic prescriptions often cost less than $5. Our family practice treats fractures, lacerations, and sports injuries, teaches prevention, and coordinates acute and chronic care. We don't accept insurance. Our patients pay a monthly fee that is less than a cable bill. With acupuncture, herbs, class 4 cold laser, and a holistic, functional medicine approach, InnerHealth MD is family medicine like it used to be. Affordable, personal, and looking to the future.
Good morning, my name is Marie Gallo and I am here in beautiful Sun Valley and I want to share with you a recipe typical from Belgium. This is called chou-fleur au gratin and in English translate cauliflower au gratin. So today we are going to do the cauliflower and this is a small one, it's about 2 pounds. And you can see it, it's really firm and really white. So the quality of the ingredient, it's what I'm looking for when I do a recipe. So what we're gonna do, we are gonna flip the cauliflower. This is a chef knife and I'm gonna use also a smaller knife and we are gonna clean up the greens. So what I do, I just take those big chunk of greens out of the cauliflower and you can use any knife you are comfortable with. So in my case, I use those both knives. So there we go. We're just cleaning this. And it's gonna take maybe 1 minute, max 2. And then if you have some green left over in it, don't worry about it, okay? It's not gonna mess your recipe at all. Okay, here we go. So I'm gonna cut this little thing sticking out. Et voila, you have the cauliflower without the greens around it. Now we are gonna boil or steam the cauliflower for about 10 minutes. You don't want to overcook the cauliflower, you just don't. We wanted to keep it firm. And now we are gonna work on our bechamel sauce. Now we are ready to make the bechamel sauce, so to speak. So what I have here, I have 1 ounce of butter, 2 ounces of flour, 20 ounces of milk, cold milk, but you can do it with warm milk if you want. And I have also 2 ounces of Gruyere. Emmental will do, Swiss Gruyere can do it as well. And salt and pepper and a little bit of nutmeg. We love nutmeg in our bechamel sauce. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put the 1 ounces of butter, and this is what we call roux, R-O-U-X, blanc, white. Blanc means white. So I'm gonna make the butter to melt. So you wait until the butter is completely melt. Keep in mind we have our cauliflower cooking, steaming for about 10 minutes. So I'm gonna go a little bit higher and to melt the butter. Then I'll show you how it looks like. When the butter is melt, I'm gonna take it out of the heat. I don't like to mix my butter and my flour while on the heat. I don't like that. Some people might be able to do it. I never did, and I've been making bechamel sauce pretty much all my life. There you go. Here is the butter. It melts. So this is the result of, you just have pure butter. So I'm going to put the flour. This is 2 ounces of flour. There it goes. And I'm gonna take it out of the heat, and I'm gonna create what we call the roux, R-O-U-X. And it should be this. It looks like nothing. Don't be afraid. You're gonna be okay. So I'm gonna start pouring some milk. I always start pouring a little bit. My first pouring will be just a tiny bit, just enough to have all the butter, the flour together and create some kind of dough. You know the Play-Doh the kids play at school? It looks just like that. It really does. And there you go. I'm starting to get a consistency of what we're gonna have later. The bechamel sauce, there it is, see? But you don't want that because it's way too thick. So you just pour more milk and you keep stirring until you have enough bechamel sauce to pour over your cauliflower. Easy enough, isn't it? I grew up in Belgium, as you know, so this was really something. My parents were both Italian, you must know that. So I grew up with Belgian cuisine and mostly Italian cuisine. But when we had the Belgian cuisine, because my mom worked as a cook in a convent in Belgium, so she always brought some recipe that she never learned when she was a child, Belgian cuisine, and the bechamel sauce was part of it. We have another good recipe with bechamel sauce, and it's called chicon au gratin, meaning Belgium endive au gratin, just like the cauliflower, but instead of the cauliflower, we have Belgium endive roll into French ham and pour with the bechamel sauce just the same way we're gonna do the cauliflower. So there you go. Now I'm gonna put my heat a little bit higher, so it's gonna cook the butter, the flour, and the milk, and it's gonna create that consistency who's gonna be our bechamel sauce. There it goes. And this is what you want. You want this consistency. Okay, now we're gonna season this bechamel sauce, and it's very easy. You need salt and pepper, and I do have my pepper mixed with the salt, 2 little pinch, and you can always taste. There it goes. I'm gonna put, you don't have to do that, but I do. I'm gonna put a little bit of Gruyere that I'm gonna use at the end of the recipe, but I'm gonna mix it also with the bechamel sauce. And it's not a secret, but I love nutmeg in the bechamel sauce. You won't find a bechamel sauce recipe in Belgium. I think France does the same thing without the bechamel, the nutmeg. Look at this. This is beautiful. I like it. So now a little bit of bechamel nutmeg. I have mine in powder already, but you can use the fresh one and just ground on top of it. So, and you just sprinkle. There you go. More. That's enough. And your bechamel sauce is ready. So there you go. After 10 minutes, you have a beautiful steaming cauliflower. We're gonna put in the Pyrex, who's gonna go in the oven for 10 to 15 minutes at 400 degrees. And what I'm gonna do though, and what I like to do, it's to put a little bit of, I have a little bit of butter in my plate here, not much, a little bit. And what I like to do is to pour a little bit of bechamel sauce on the bottom. There it is. You just cover your Pyrex. You don't have to, but I do, I like it. And we're gonna take the cauliflower and put it there in the middle, and you have a beautiful steamy cauliflower ready to go in the oven after I pour my bechamel sauce. So there it goes, very easy. You're gonna pour your bechamel sauce, and I do like to cover the whole thing. There it goes. I like it. I really like this recipe, and you can use this recipe with meat, not so much with fish, but you could, but I don't use it with the fish, mostly with beef and pork. Really good with that. What I like to do as well is to put this is a side dish, and I like to serve it with mashed potatoes because you will have some leftover sauce there. You will have enough, and it's for 3 to 4 people side dish. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to just pour the Gruyere on top of the cauliflower. There it is. This one is just a Swiss Gruyere, but any Gruyere will do it. Emmental, Swiss Gruyere, Comté, it doesn't matter, as long as it's in the family of Gruyere. And here is your cauliflower ready to be in the oven for 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, now it's been 10 minutes since our cauliflower is in the oven. I'm going to show you how it looks like, but you can have it less or more. And I am going to put my broiler, and we're going to keep it for 1 to 2 minutes max, really max. So here it is. It looks just like this. See how that little crust already, the brown, and it's bubbling and stuff. So this is what you want to see after 10 minutes. I'm going to put it back, and I'm going to put the broil. But keep an eye on that, because as you know, when you broil anything, it goes really fast. Et voila! Now you have a beautiful crust, some sauce around it. By the way, a little history with the bechamel sauce. Actually, the country of origin, it's really Italy. And the region was Tuscany, and you can check it out because Wikipedia will tell you that. And it was brought to France by the Marquis of Louis de Bechamel in the 17th century. So the bechamel, it's kind of the motherhood of a lot of sauce in France and Belgium. Thank you for joining me in Murray's Kitchen on Ion Sun Valley. See you next time. Au revoir.
Family heritage, quite frankly, it's made us who we are today. We are proud to be Idahoan and proud to be an American. Back to the 1800s, our Idahoan generations would agree. It's been quite an exploration, a real adventure for our families. Farming, cattle ranching, serving the armed forces. We believe every generation should strive for betterment. From our family to yours, dig deep into your heritage. Explore it, live it, learn from it, pass it on. Audio Innovations is an innovative audio-visual company that designs, integrates, and simplifies a truly custom system to keep you comfortable, entertained, and secure in your own home. Audio Innovations TJ's Electric offers a variety of services, from phone systems to lighting control systems, HVAC systems, home theater, electrical, audio, and video, drapery systems, and more. Audio Innovations, 91 East Croix Street, Alturas Plaza, in Haley.
Barry Peterson Jewelers, a luxury jewelry store in Ketchum, Idaho, specializing in custom design and repair.
Jewelry making, I look at as more of architecture. A piece of jewelry is more of a link between a man and or a woman and or mankind and the gemstone world. And so there is actually a lot of engineering that goes involved, that I think is involved with making a piece of jewelry that someone's going to wear every single day of their life. That part of the 3D thinking is a huge factor.
Create your custom piece with Barry Peterson today.
I moved out to Idaho 4 years ago. So I met a lot of people, and I really, really like it here. In New York, I was always sort of introverted. When I came out here, that no longer was me. I became extroverted because the people here are so friendly and warm. You know, if you don't have something like that that brings you into other people's lives, it takes a long time to get to know people.
Hello and welcome to Eye on Sun Valley. I'm Jody Zarkos. Joining us today is author Charles Brandt, author of I Heard You Paint Houses, the true story of Frank the Irishman Sheeran, and closing the case around the disappearance of Jimmy Hoffa. The book has been turned into a major motion picture, The Irishman, directed by Martin Scorsese and starring Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, and Joe Pesci. It premiered at the New York Film Festival last month. And Charles, you were on hand for the film festival.
Yes, I was. Netflix flew me and my wife Nancy and put us up in a wonderful hotel off Central Park. And we attended the festivities, including the world premiere screening of what is called as a film, The Irishman. Our book is I Heard You Paint Houses, but we also go by The Irishman.
Right, because you have the movie tie-in release coming out in a few days. It should be out by the time this airs, and it is dubbed The Irishman, correct?
There it is.
There it is, in living color.
But we also have the classic edition of the book called I Heard You Paint Houses, and that will remain in print for those who want that book.
So New York is an electric city to begin with. What was it like? I mean, I look at the director and the crew of The Irishman. It's a veritable murderer's row of acting. To throw a little tribute to your Yankees, your hometown Yankees.
Oh, no, not my Yankees.
Not your Yankees?
Oh, God, no.
All right, we're ixnaying the Yankees.
I was a Brooklyn Dodger fan as a boy and grew up having no regard for the Yankees.
So, well, we won't go into the playoffs right now. That might be sad for you then.
Yeah, yeah.
What was it like? What was the electricity like surrounding the premiere?
Well, it was an electricity that I have seen on TV, on news shows, but I never participated in it. And to walk down the red carpet and have cameramen asking my wife and me, stop right there, and trying to get better shots of it. And then a group of, from my family and friends in New York, where I was born and raised, situated themselves at the bottom of a short flight of stairs behind a rope, you know, or a ribbon, whatever you call it. And when Nancy and I started heading down those stairs after coming through the red carpet, we hear this big whoop and holler, and we thought that Marty Scorsese had walked in, but no, it was that gang of cutthroats cheering Nancy and me, organized by a former resident of Sun Valley, Leslie Little.
That must have been a great feeling.
That was fun. We were hugging and laughing and kissing, and then we went in and took our seats. We had great seats, you know.
And give me your review of the movie.
Oh my God, it's a Mona Lisa of a masterpiece. It's a Raphael. It's unbelievable. I mean, of course I'm biased, but when you think about it, I should be biased in favor of the book, which I am. But this movie, as a movie person, I grew up loving the movies, and this movie just, as I mentioned, is a masterpiece.
Speaking of the movie and the book, you said that you held out the rights to the book until Scorsese approached you. Why? How did you know he would come around to you? And after making so many mafia movies, did you think it would appeal to him again, to go down that road again?
Well, I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but I was a homicide investigator, having over 55 homicides that I either tried to a jury or investigated. And you learn to follow hunches.
Right.
You learn that even though hunches are often hard to justify, in this case, I had a hunch that both Scorsese and De Niro would love this book once I'd finished it. And other people agreed with me. My wife agreed with me. And so pretty quickly in 2004, when the book first came out and was in the stores, I turned down 2 bona fide offers from genuine Hollywood people because I was expecting that somewhere down the line somebody would give this book to either De Niro or Scorsese. And that's exactly what happened. Another script writer who's not involved in this, a famous script writer named Eric Roth, gave the book to Bob De Niro. And Bob read it, loved it, and gave it to the screenwriter, the Oscar-winning screenwriter Steve Zalian, won the Oscar for Schindler's List. And anyway, Steve Zalian and Bob De Niro brought it to Martin Scorsese. And that started the ball rolling. That was the summer of 2007.
It's really amazing, and I can't wait to hear more about it. We'll be back with author Charles Brandt right after this on Eye on Sun Valley.
Family heritage, quite frankly, it's made us who we are today. We are proud to be Idahoan and proud to be an American. Back to the 1800s, our Idahoan generations would agree. It's been quite an exploration, a real adventure for our families. Farming, cattle ranching, serving the armed forces. We believe every generation should strive for betterment. From our family to yours, dig deep into your heritage. Explore it, live it, learn from it, pass it on. Audio Innovations is an innovative audio-visual company that designs, integrates, and simplifies a truly custom system to keep you comfortable, entertained, and secure in your own home. Audio Innovations TJ's Electric offers a variety of services, from phone systems to lighting control systems, HVAC systems, home theater, electrical, audio, and video, drapery systems, and more. Audio Innovations, 91 East Croy Street, Alturas Plaza, in Haley.
Autoimmune disease is a huge one that we treat that affects a lot of people. When you look at the properties of hyperbarics, getting the inflammation down, getting those organs to function properly, and it's proven that it suppresses the autoimmune system. So, yeah, we've had really good success with autoimmune disease.
Better food, better price, better service. Atkinson's Market, supporting local farmers since 1956.
And we're back with author Charles Brandt. Charles, you spent a lot of time on the set of The Irishman. What was that like for you, and what was your role?
Interestingly, part of the film was done in a place called Ridgewood, New York, not Ridgewood, New Jersey, a section of Queens. And I sat there in a director's chair looking around at Ridgewood, where I lived till the 6th grade.
Seriously?
I roamed those streets as a little Brooklyn kid. And that was a thrill for me to be there, like I'd come full cycle. So those were the times I was on the set. But most of the time, they dealt with me long distance. I was in Idaho. I've got my 7-year-old grandson here and my daughter and her husband. And so I hurried home after we were done with the script. I did mention, I don't know if I mentioned it to you, but they had me as part of the script team. Steve Zalian, Bob De Niro, Marty Scorsese, his producer Emmett Tillinger, and your pal. And we would meet in Marty's house and go over the script. And then I'd prepare my notes and come back for another meeting. And when I was done, and when they were done with me, I came back out here to Idaho, and they assigned a woman named Mary Ann Bauer, who was a researcher, to me, in that they would be working on a scene, they'd have a question, and they would say, "Call Charlie," to Mary Ann. Mary Ann would call me, and she said it was as if you had the phone in your hand. You would answer the phone instantly. And I said, well, I did have the phone in my hand. Are you kidding? This is so much fun, you know?
Right.
So I worked on that, and I was actually working on one portion of this script 2 days before the wrap party.
Really?
Yeah, Nancy and I, my wife and I, went to the wrap party in Manhattan. They flew us in, and we were mingling with some pretty serious Hollywood people.
So let's go back a little bit to you secured Frank Sheeran's early release from jail, and then, I mean, that journey with Frank Sheeran consumed so much of your life. Did you ever expect when you were embarking on it, it would unfold that way?
No, I did not expect it at all. I got a call from a member of the Philadelphia mob, the Angelo Bruno crime family, played in the film by Harvey Keitel. Frank Sheeran was the prime suspect in Jimmy Hoffa's disappearance. He had been profiled in the New York Times as such, profiled in Newsweek as such, and in Wilmington, Delaware, where I was practicing law at the time, he was our local gangster. We didn't have another one. And he was the head of the Teamsters Union in Wilmington, Delaware. And we knew each other a little bit. I didn't care for him, and he tried to beat me out of a fee once, and I fired him as a client. But here was a more straightforward representation thing, and that was get him out of jail, charge a certain fee, I got him out of jail. I had been an interrogator, I taught interrogation to cops, I taught cross-examination to other lawyers, and I was, at that point in my career, doing medical work. And so he had medical problems, and they wanted him out. I got him out, and he said to me, you know, I read your book. I had written a book about interrogations that solved major crimes.
Okay.
And he had read my book, and he said, I'm tired of being written about in all the books on Hoffa. I want to tell my side of it, and I want you to tell it, because you read this, you wrote that book, The Right to Remain Silent. So my anticipation, to answer your question, was to have one meeting with him. Okay, I'll go up and see what you have to say for yourself. And that led ultimately to 5 years of recorded interrogation. He had very tremendous amount of remorse for his killing Jimmy Hoffa. He didn't care about the other killings that he'd done, basically didn't care. But killing Jimmy Hoffa, who he adored, he believed in Hoffa as a union man, and he was ordered to do it because he was the only one that could get close enough to kill Hoffa. And the mob likes to do it nice and easy, where they're 18 inches away from the back of your neck when you are killed. And so I knew that he had something on his chest that he wanted to get off it. And interrogation is a process from establishing trust to lightening the load. And so you establish trust, and you get information that leads to other information. And you also point out to him, now see, doesn't that feel better in your chest? Because there really is a physiological reaction to getting something off your chest. I taught that to cops and to other trial lawyers. And that physiological reaction is what Sheeran would respond to.
So you're helping him carry the load.
Helping him get it off his chest and feel better.
And so in the process of this, did you feel imperiled yourself, being privy to these secrets that nobody else had heard?
The very first time, yes. We met in his apartment, and we didn't get, and it scared him as much as he told me. He was shocked. I wrote it up, I showed it to him. I left an important piece out because it was too scary for me. It's in the book. And it's in the book, The Irishman, in fact. And anyway, we called off we had been together for 5 hours that night. We called it off, and we didn't get back together again for 8 years because Russell Buffalino died. Billy D'Elia, who took over for the family for Russell Buffalino. Billy D'Elia became a government witness, and so he wasn't there to scare me anymore.
Right.
But he didn't like me, so I was concerned about him. Joey the Clown Lombardo, the boss of the Philly family, would call Frank Sheeran regularly. And I'm sitting on the couch with Frank, and here's Joey the Clown calling. Well, Joey the Clown ended up going to jail for life. So I was freer to talk about some things that I had not been free to talk about. And we ended up adding an extra 57 pages to the book because I had so much corroborative material. the murder of Crazy Joey Gallo, and corroborated by a New York Times editor who was in the Italian restaurant in Little Italy called Umberto's Clam House when Frank the Irishman walked in and blew Crazy Joey away. She positively identified Sheeran as the killer.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you sat down with this man and had a relationship with him, and did you grow to like him eventually? You said you
totally.
didn't like him at first.
No, good point. No, I couldn't stand him at first.
Mm-hmm.
But, and we had a few words, stern words. But as time went on, we absolutely became friends. I'll tell you about a phenomenon that most people don't even know about, and that is you can be trying a murder case, and you got a murder defendant, and let's say it's a long case, 9-week trial. As the case hits about the halfway point, you're on a personal relationship with that killer. You're on a personal relationship with him on the breaks. You're even making jokes to each other.
Right.
So now you have to be careful that nobody's smuggling in a weapon for him. You know, you still have to treat him as the enemy that he is, and,
right.
and have your investigators, you know, be sure, keep an eye on him and search him and whatever. But there are some of my best wisecracks I got off in a capital case that had 4 men on. When I left the office, I had 4 men on death row.
Well, I guess your best wisecracks are going to come from wise guys, huh?
Yeah, I guess. Well, I'll tell you, interestingly, I have done a number of book signings in Russell Buffalino territory, northeastern Pennsylvania, Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, and the people who come to those book signings have tremendous stories to tell me about their knowledge about Russell Buffalino. Many of those anecdotes I added to the growing, it's an expanding book.
The epilogue, yeah.
Yeah, and the epilogue, and then the conclusion chapter of 57 more pages after the epilogue. And some of that includes anecdotes that I would hear from people. I can tell you a quick one if we have the time.
You sure?
Okay, so a young man is standing there signing the book for him, and he asks me, he tells me that, you know, when I was a young guy, I was a bit of a problem. I was a rough and tough teenager. And my father had a furniture store in Wilkes-Barre. And Russell Buffalino came into the furniture store and said to my father, everybody in this town wants to buy from you. They want to buy furniture from you. I encourage them to buy furniture locally and buy it from you. But your son has to be controlled. And if you don't control your son, we're all going to stop buying furniture from you. The kid said to me, my father got on top of me, sat on me, never let me out of his sight, and now I have my own business. And I said, what kind of business is that? He said, well, I have my own funeral parlor.
Oh.
True stories, God is my judge. And it's in this, you know, the conclusion chapter.
That's amazing.
So anytime I had a book signing in northeastern Pennsylvania, I brought my pad and my pen, and ended up getting more than I was giving.
Always the author. Charles Brandt, thank you so much for sitting down with us.
My pleasure.
And I hope we see you at the Oscars on February 9th.
Hope I'm there.
I bet you will be. Thank you so much for joining us today on Eye on Sun Valley. I'm Jody Zarkos.